Welcome to Aural Hygiene. It's a podcast where we talk about educational and caught films. I'm Matt. Mark's over there. Mark, do you see what I did?
Hello. What did you do?
I narrowed it down because we're on episode 101. So I thought I'd
Hey,
laser focus. Caught and educational.
nice.
Educational very much today. Other than Mark there, we do have a special guest, Skip Elsheimer, the AV geek, as it says on his screen, and runs the AV Geek website. Hi, Skip.
Hey, how goes it?
It's pretty groovy. Thanks for jumping in again. And as I said in my email, I think this is the Citizen Kane of educational films. Shake Hands with Danger. It could have been episode 1, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll get to it. So I have to get to it, but lots of other things in the way. So and
Well, you know what they say, you have to record 100 episodes of a podcast before you get the formula right.
maybe, yeah.
That
But
seems right. That seems right to me. Yeah.
Well, I've also heard the advice, end your podcast, just change gears, which I guess there's a certain point where you can do that. But yeah, as for now,
That's good advice for most people, but that doesn't mean you have to if
right. If you get a few people listening, that's nice. So Skip, you definitely introduced me to this film through your DVD. So the first time I didn't know the reputation or anything, and I just came to it cold, which was amazing. Obviously your history with this one goes back a little farther. Can you tell us where you first ran across this one?
So this was I got in a batch of films that I got from, I feel like it was North Carolina State Surplus, which is where I was getting a lot of films. So basically in North Carolina, if a state agency doesn't need something anymore, they just auction it off. And so that's how I was getting a lot of the first films that I got. Get batches of 100, 500, 1,000. And this, I feel like, was from the Bureau of Mines. And so this was, I got 4 copies of Shake Hands with Danger. Then I got a bunch of films about mining safety. And so the mining safety ones are okay, but this one is, as you said, it is definitely the Citizen Kane of educational films.
It would show out. It is well directed. This one is Centron, of course. And is this one actually done by Herc Harvey?
I believe it was, so I talked with and met the person who wrote the music, Jim Stringer. And he said that him and Herc worked on, I think Herc helped do the lyrics. And I think Herc was one of the people that was basically directing it. But this is not the first film that Centron made for Caterpillar. There's others that I have in the collection, but none of them have a song. And none of them are as good as this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to task myself to do a cover for this episode. I got a couple weeks, so. Mark, did you get to this one before I shoved it in your face?
I don't believe so. I think we watched it together, and as you mentioned earlier, for some reason in my brain, at the end of it, it had real footage of a man getting his hand caught in a grinder, and I don't know where that came from.
That's called good editing.
It may be that like Faces of Death maybe tricked all of us into believing that, oh, there's always something real at the end of the thing.
Right.
It can't all be effects, but no. It can be.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it, that actually makes it easier to watch and not harder. I was just like, I don't want to watch this again.
Skip, could you give us the TV guide rundown of this, if it's a nice family primetime show?
Oh, sure. So essentially this is, the reason why I like this film, it's made for a very niche audience. And it's people who work on Caterpillar heavy equipment, so Caterpillar earth moving equipment. So like bulldozers and, shovels and all these, giant orange things that you see when they are working on, a freeway. Caterpillar makes a bunch of these. And so working on them is something that is always happening because they're complex pieces of machinery. And I'm guessing that there was a high problem with people getting injured working on the equipment. And so much so that Caterpillar decided to get Centron to do this. And then, like I said, there are other films that are similar that were made earlier and some that were made after that are addressing almost the same issue about, look, these are giant pieces of equipment and you need to be careful. You need to make sure it's turned off, and it kind of just echoes again what's in the film. But this film is still being shown today, unironically.
That's amazing.
It is still being shown at technical schools. It's still being shown at places where people work on heavy equipment. It's still being shown just to teach industrial safety. And it's because it's so good. It's got intentionally funny parts in it. It's got, the mindset of its target audience. It's just totally there. And the song is so good. And you said doing a cover. If you do Shake Hands with Danger cover and you look on YouTube, there's lots of people who have done covers of this song. So it's very, very good in that regard.
Mark,
I couldn't help but notice. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Have you ever covered this one?
I think we covered this in a band before. I'm pretty sure we did.
Okay.
But I was going to say, I noticed this time that the song has a very similar song structure to the Safety Dance, except for I'm pretty sure it came out before Safety Dance did.
Yeah, so this came out, Shake Hands with Danger came out in 80. Mm-hmm. So in Safety Dance, when was that?
Like 84, 83.
Yeah, I think I was like in high school, and I think so it was like 80, 83, 84 maybe. And so who do you think sang the song?
Was it the director?
not the writer of the song, was it? The narrator seems to be the same guy.
Yeah. So who is that?
Makes sense.
Any guess?
Johnny Cash.
Fake Johnny Cash.
Jacob Cash.
No.
Johnny credit.
But that's the thing is a lot of people are, when I posted it, so I not only did I put this on a DVD that introduced it to all these people who follow kind of cult DVD releases, I also got it on Internet Archive. And so it was on Internet Archive even before YouTube existed. And then migrated over to YouTube. And so there was a whole bunch of people that were just like, this is amazing. What is this? And through all these people guessing, like, who is the singer? Is it Waylon Jennings? Is it, and they just threw out all these A-list and B-list country singers. And one of the other things that I put on Internet Archive was this video called, what was it? I'm trying to remember. No, it wasn't Shake Hands with Danger. I'm trying to remember the order of it. I have this VD film called The Lunatic, and I put that up. And the person wrote me and said, hey, I wrote the music to The Lunatic. This was my band early on. And I also wrote the music for Shake Hands with Danger. And I'm Jim Stringer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Jim Stringer. Wow, this is great. And so we had this kind of email conversation back and forth. And then I did a show in Austin, Texas, where I had him come and we did a retrospective of all the films that he was either in or he wrote the music for. And so he gave us kind of the backstory of a lot of this stuff. And so it turns out the person who sings and narrates Shake Hands with Danger is a guy named Charles Oldfather, who was I think he was a lawyer, but he really, really liked drama. And so he would contribute and he would appear in things at University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas. And so, so Charles Oldfather was the guy who sang the song. And he appears in some other Centron films, not safety films, but just general films. And he actually shows up in a cameo in The Day After, that movie that came out, ABC movie.
Yeah, I saw it when it came out. I saw it when it aired.
Yeah. So he played, because they shot it around Lawrence, Kansas. And so him and actually Herc Harvey both have cameos in it. And Charles is, because I was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my God, I got to go see if I can. So I watched The Day After again. And I found the scene where he's one of the farmers after the atomic blast who's listening about what to do with how they're supposed to throw away all the topsoil and all this stuff. And he's like covered in dirt and ash and burns. And he kind of turns this into somebody else in his voice. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Charles Oldfather. So yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's who it is. Charles Oldfather.
Wow. I feel like he's in all his glory in this one, even though you don't see him, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
So we doubled down. Now, what we do see in this, I've always said, it feels like this one in particular, like borrowed the cast from like a John Waters film or something.
It feels kind of, rewatching it feels kind of like a really slow motion Keystone Cops, but instead of cops, they're like construction workers. There's
right.
Like
so you take
hijinks.
Yeah. So the slapstick is slowed down.
Which is great. It's great. It works so well because you're just sort of there's so much anticipation in it, and also just that scene towards the end where the guy is just sort of towing the huge bulldozer. I was like, what is even going on until you see what he's doing, and it's just masterful.
The wonderful banjo song it's not banjo, it's guitar, but yeah. So you talk about slapstick and safety films. I mean, they're so close. The fact of, I have this film called Down and Out, which was made by another company years earlier, like probably in the mid 60s. And it shows this guy falling down about 100 times. And it just gets funnier and funnier and funnier. And it's just, so the slapstick aspect of it is not lost on me at all. And I think that's the thing, is like, Shake Hands with Danger knows that. They know, because they've made so many of these films, they know who their audience is. And so you could tell they were kind of slowing it down for suspense. Yeah. So there's that one scene where the guy he's up on the crane, on the shovel crane, and he's like got a wrench. He's like, trying to loosen it, and he's not on a ladder or anything secure. And, the music is like a rattlesnake. It's like, so it's building that suspense, and that the audience that was watching that were like, oh man, no, and then he falls off, and it's like, oh,
marked for
sure.
Death.
I know the first time I watched it, and every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, that's right, I don't want to work in construction. That's like all I get from it. So I'm just like, I don't trust myself not to make these mistakes.
Right. I mean, not to mention it for these, it's not only they don't work in construction, they just go from work site to work site repairing equipment. So right off the bat, you go somewhere where they're already pissed off because they're way off schedule and this piece of equipment has broken, and you're representing either the company or, Caterpillar, and everybody's mad. So then you have the stress of trying to get something online as quickly as possible. And they kind of hint at that, like the last sequence is like, it's basically Herc Harvey yelling at the guy saying like, get that out of here. We got to get this through here. You got to get it out, So I think, again, that's why it's successful, is because it's identifying, it's not just lecturing to you. It's like, yeah, we know what it's like out there for you guys. It sucks. You hate it. We hate it.
Yeah. I feel like maybe they should have had a sequence where somebody like had to calm down a screaming construction worker or something. I don't know how they'd do that safely.
Even at the end of the film, watching it last night, I still have trouble convincing myself that Bob Murray is not Richard Pryor.
He does have that look. Yeah. Yeah. And there's the guy earlier who is whacking the mushroomed kind of piece of metal to try to push a thing out, and he gets he hits it and then the piece of metal shoots him in the chest and he's like falling backwards. When I showed that in Texas, people in the audience were like, "Oh yeah, he's in that cell phone commercial." So, they're common actors that were, getting gigs, doing stuff. So, yeah, that's why I like these educational films, because the regional people, they don't always have celebrities. They just kind of have whoever they have in those areas.
Local celebrities.
Local celebrities, sure.
There we go.
Yeah, they would usually probably not make the celebrities do anything except for stand there and talk about how.
No, it's true. Yeah. There's a film I have called First Aid Action, which is Burt Reynolds, and he just sits next to the pool. He's in a lounge chair, wearing a tracksuit, and he's just sitting there talking. And then there's all this cutaway sequence stuff, and then he comes back and he's talking again, sitting at the chaise lounge. So.
Yeah, I always appreciated the future shock with Orson Welles
walking I was going straight there.
Empty house and ranting. Yeah, okay.
He's like, I will walk to my destination through the airport and you film me talking about the future. That's like his participation. But
yeah.
But also we mentioned the suspense, but just it's like a cavalcade of slowly building horrors in this film, which I think is a big part of the appeal. I mean, we start, just with the little hey, if you do that, might screw things up. And in the first totally ham-fisted moment where the guy takes the wrench from him, then gives it back to him so he can say shake hands with danger. That's great.
Yeah, that's that in out of context means absolutely nothing. If you did that to someone, it would be like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, just take it away.
It's great. Yeah, shake hands with danger. Is the wrench the hand? Is the wrench the danger?
I guess the wrench is the danger because you're using it to do something potentially dangerous.
That's right.
Yeah,
we've been talking about too many Matrix films, so I'm trying to find all this meaning and all these dangers.
Right.
Shaking.
Yeah. I mean, some of it's like you're watching the film. I guess that's the idea. Like, it's obvious, but just weird things happen at your workplace, I guess. Because just 2 weeks ago, a kid dropped a water bottle on my foot and it still has a bruise.
Your foot shook hands with danger.
Well, the water bottle.
I have a film about this. I have a film about this, Matt. It's called Wear Safety Shoes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all about, and it has this bikini woman walking through all these dangerous situations barefoot, and one of them is a potential danger of something smashing her foot. So
there you go. Did I have kids' water bottles in there?
No, I don't think so. There's broken bottles, but
okay. Now the kid just looked at me, was holding it. I'm like, hey. I think I managed not to say anything obscene, so did hurt though.
Is it hard to not say something obscene in Japanese, or is it easier?
It's hard to say something obscene in Japanese because I used to call kids out when they're saying dirty words, but they aren't really that dirty. You could say them on TV and stuff. So, they're talking about like, they're making poop jokes, but none of the language is actually that raw in Japanese.
I mean, all the Dragon Ball videos I saw had subtitles that said shit or fuck, but I don't know what that actually means. I mean, if somebody was like, it would be cool if you put subtitles with dirty words in them.
Right.
I do know that the American Adult Swim crayon Shin-chan is made notably dirtier for American audiences. But Dragon Ball, I think because they would have just been like Kuso, right? Which would you can say that anywhere, right? So, but
I don't know that, but I've definitely heard Goku say it a bunch of times.
Okay, well, yeah, he's basically saying shit then in Japanese, but kids can say it, and people don't really get that angry at him. So,
sure. I mean, why should they get angry at them? Because it's poop, and everybody poops. So, why is that a dirty word?
Yeah, that's a Japanese book, isn't it? Everybody poops. But
that's right.
Is that Japanese? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yesterday there was, I have a 4-year-old telling detailed stories about Unchi-kun, which is the poop boy, and I'm like, I should really stop him, but I can't really. So, without being it was snack time, I guess. It was fine. But then that's when you get your foot smashed, isn't it? Anyway, What horribly dangerous things have you folks done on your jobs?
Well, I'll tell you the time that I came closest. I guess the time I shook hands with danger was when I overslept until 1 p.m. and I really needed to get going. So I had this 5-hour energy knockoff and I couldn't get the top off of it. So I grabbed my safety razor that I shave with and I tried to just cut the 5-hour energy, and I cut a slight amount of skin off the top of my finger and had to go get it all glued up. And that's my story. It sucks.
So you
Wow.
you translate your trauma into this one, right?
Yeah, I mean that was I touched fingertips with danger.
Yeah, there we go.
So did you actually get the bottle open and then drink the energy drink while you were going to the doctor?
I'm pretty sure that after I know what I did was bandage it up a whole lot and then just figure I could go on my day, and then like looked at it later and was like, oh no, I don't know. I have to do something about this. But yeah, I think I did, but I never bought those again, and never used never used a safety razor to open anything again.
So I do.
Yeah.
Once I tried to navigate ledges in a Spider-Man costume. That probably wasn't smart.
What?
But
was that in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Japanese Spider-Man. That's the only real one, right?
Did you become the emissary of hell?
Yes I did.
Good.
But no, I guess my more educational safety film sort of moment would be trying to get to work a little late and go on my bicycle. The tires weren't quite probably didn't have quite enough air in them, and I went around a corner that had some gravel and totally wiped out and walked into the office with ripped clothes and active bleeding.
Oh no.
I didn't have classes for like 3 hours, so I went, got patched up, and got a new pair of pants. Always have a new pair of pants for me.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Yeah, so I did a similar thing to what happened to you with the water bottle. I was basically moving a big stack of films that was on a shelf, and I wasn't wearing shoes, and one of the films fell and just smashed my toe, my little toe. No, my big toe actually, and broke it. And I think I lost the toenail. So yeah, I actually did a public service announcement about it. It was mothers against smashing your toes or something like that. It's on YouTube. But yeah, it was very heavy and it was not pleasant. So
it wasn't the ultimate irony of being the safety shoes film, was it?
No, it was the ultimate irony. Yeah, it was. It was no, it wasn't that film. But, that would have been great. Wow. That film is tiny. That would have just given me a little bruise. No, this was a big World War II history, like epic film that was metal and just, yeah, it was not pleasant at all. And in the PSA, I actually show what happens when I have baby carrots set up and I drop a can on it, so you can see what it looks like. So I'll see if I can send you a link to it so you can.
All right.
Watch it.
Yeah, I've had to. I volunteered at a local theater for a long time and had to like sometimes drive prints from other theaters to that theater for whatever reason, and that would suck. I would not want to have anything over like 5 minutes drop on my foot.
Yeah. No. Well, so that's 35 millimeter, and that that would have broken my
twice
foot
as big.
entirely.
Yeah, that would have destroyed your foot forever.
16 millimeter is like only that big, so it just not a toe. But yeah.
But it's like you get the idea of carrying those around of how heavy film can get, though.
Yep.
Oh boy.
That's why I don't collect 35 millimeter, is because it's just so big and bulky, and everything I like is in the 16 millimeter realm. It's the educational stuff. It's the weird television. It's weird, student stuff. It's lab films. All that stuff. That's the stuff I like.
So you've literally got the 16 millimeter shrine.
You can get Star Wars on 16 if you want it.
Yeah,
I've watched one. It was weird. It was cool though.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of feature films on 16. I have some feature films, but that's not really what I collect. I mean, that I just got them by accident. This university was like, hey, we're getting rid of all the films in our film department. Do you want them? And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And so they shipped me it was 120 features or something like that. But no Star Wars.
Another big charm of this film, I think, is like you said, the niche audience. So the actual writing there's so many bizarre lines. Of course, there's just the delving into long bits of what we're going to call techno babble, since we don't service Earth Rhythm machines, but it has, dude's got to be worrying about a football injured knee, can't be a non-manly injury. What was the most people have days when they come to work hungover, so that, I guess they're not wrong, but
the one that felt like a little bit sorry, go ahead.
Well, and the thing about that scene is he's pulling out some sort of something out of a wheel thing that somehow is now it's out of gear. They're trying to explain it. And then they also add to the fact that the guy's son is having surgery for a football injured knee. I'm just like, why did they have to throw in the football injured knee? Your son isn't just your son having surgery like a big deal? It's like, no. But maybe most guys don't care about their sons, but because it was football injured, then I care. I love my son. I don't want him to, his football career to be cut short. So it amped up the worry, I guess, as opposed to say his son's in surgery.
No, that one does pull back. We do not actually watch him go over a ledge. We see him destroy a house with some fantastic footage. But it's beautiful. We covered a film a few weeks ago, Apaches, which is a British one, and that has the money shot where the kid actually does take it over the ledge.
Wow. I don't think that Caterpillar I don't think Caterpillar is necessarily willing to pay to drive their bulldozer off of a 100-foot cliff like that. But no. I wish it had, but just seeing the shot was enough, because you're just like, oh no, don't do it.
I do have a bus safety film where they drive a bus off of a cliff. That's phenomenal. It's called Ghost Rider.
I was going to guess a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I think I have seen the Ghost Rider. So
yeah, it's real good. It's this guy is haunted by this girl that was killed in a bus accident, and then he learns what to do when a bus is an emergency situation.
Nice. Yeah. That's great. Always let the ghosts tell you. Man,
those old buses are wild. I used to have a bus driving license in Pennsylvania. There was a bus driver at the summer camp, but I guess she suddenly quit. So suddenly it's, Matt, you have a license, drive this 1975 big yellow cheese wagon, which was stick. Only time, but yeah, it's at the mountains of Pennsylvania. So the thing was so old, I'd have to go really fast down the hill in order to gain enough momentum to get up the next hill.
How many? Was it a 5-speed? Did it have a bunch of gears like a truck would?
It had several gears. I don't remember how many.
That's wild.
I only drove it this one time to take a bunch of kids to the roller rink. This sounds so 70s. It was actually 2003. But
well, Pennsylvania is kind of 70s, and I say it in a totally endearing way, but I first visited there recently, and it's kind of, I could imagine that happening.
Okay, but that was shaking hands with danger, I guess. I mean, I wasn't actually.
Yeah.
Again, they asked the guy to do it that's not technically qualified, right?
Right.
Well, you were careful, and that's why you're still alive.
Well, no, I wasn't careful. I had to barrel down the mountain in order to get the bus up the next mountain.
I mean, you did what you had to do.
I was going 70 miles an hour in a cheese wagon.
Oh, wow. So it didn't have governors on it. Wow. That's crazy. So, coincidentally, that's where I got Ghost Rider was from a school system in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
In Duncansville, Pennsylvania. I got a bunch of bus safety, and they were all made by Pennsylvania Department of Transportation.
Yeah, sometimes with these films, it's very interesting to follow the money, to who exactly is making this. It's just sometimes, I mean, this one's super clear who's funding the bill, but footing the bill. But
yeah,
sometimes it's it can be quite surprising when it's like the Ohio State Police are funding something totally bizarre.
Right. And so related to who sponsored it. I was talking with Jim Stringer, and he said that Caterpillar liked the film so much, and the song was so popular that they actually sold a cassette single of the song that Caterpillar did.
God.
And they sold like 10,000 copies.
A single.
That means it should be has anyone seen one? Has anyone seen these for sale?
No.
I sure haven't. Oh my God.
But that's pretty, and the thing is, it wasn't distributed in like, record stores or anything. It was distributed specifically at Caterpillar dealerships. So to get 10,000 cassettes sold is pretty significant. And it speaks to the value of the film and the song specifically, how catchy it is. And when I did this retrospect with Jim in Austin, we did a karaoke of it, a sing along, and it has more lyrics than what's in the film. So it's pretty great.
I'm gonna have to see if I can track that down. I need the complete set of lyrics if I'm gonna try to do a cover.
Maybe it's on YouTube somewhere. I don't know. I haven't.
Well, there is on YouTube somewhere. Jim is doing the full version. He's performing.
Okay.
Because he's a musician first before he did film stuff, and so he's been in different bands and he does all sorts of things. So there's a version of him in a nightclub singing.
There are a couple moments in the film too where it's like, I'm like, that would be a memory. That'd be an awesome day, shooting the spring into a truck. I mean, you'd go home and grab your friends. That's what happened today.
That's one of those where it's like, it was a little bit convenient that it wasn't in any position where it would have ricocheted back and hit the guy or anything, but it still was really cool. I mean, like, any excuse to do that is cool with me.
The dude clearly in his flame retardant suit. I mean, he's living the stuntman life, I guess. Sometimes you gotta look at it as a film, and just making it. It's like, hey, we're gonna blow this thing up. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna lose your hand. You're gonna lose your plastic hand in this thing.
What I want to see is the safety film about the making of Shake Hands with Danger.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Let's get meta.
I mean, can you imagine being the guy that, if this had really happened, the last thing that he feels is axle grease on his palm. He's playing with the axle grease and kind of like, and then that's it. That's the last thing. The last sense that you feel is that kind of really gross grease.
I guess you would just have phantom limb grease forever.
Phantom limb, like it's squishy.
Just always feel it.
Won't go away.
If you're listening and you've lost your hand, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
Yeah, and this isn't based on anything real. This is a made up thing.
Yeah,
cautioning people about the dangers of doing something like that. What could potentially happen.
Well, I hope it's saved a lot of hands.
Yeah,
because you need your hands.
We are like, why would anybody do that? But yeah, it's like the old Homer Simpson thing. They put the warning there because of me.
Well, yeah, it's like you. What was it Ted Bundy said? Like, by the time you've killed 10 or 20 people, you just forget where you put the wrench.
Oh, that's where you make the mistake, right? No, that they do say, if it's your career and you've gotten used to it, then you slip up.
Yep, that's true. Very true.
I'm sitting here trying to think.
Very true. And I have lots of films that talk about that, and lots of films about specific hand danger stuff. It's one called On Every Hand, and it basically has a styrofoam hand that they show things happening to. So they show like, well, this is what could happen if you're not careful with like a paper cutter, you cut your fingers off. And then they show this kind of styrofoam little play set where the blade is coming down on a styrofoam finger.
Oh, that sounds dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least
it's made by the same people who made Down and Out. So they're both online. So cool. You should check them out.
Yeah. My memory of Down and Out's mostly a guy walking into rakes, I think, which probably only happens twice because he has to fall downstairs and things too. But
yeah, it's like he's working in a play school factory, like the play school, the toys, because everything is like big and like colorful, and there's really interesting lighting. And the soundtrack is this wonderful drum kind of percussion soundtrack that makes it really kind of like, you know, jazzy and upbeat. And he just keeps falling down again and again and again, and it's just hysterical.
He just
like even hearing you talk about it, it's hilarious.
Yeah, he just wants the workers' comp. That's all. He's really trying for it. That's what he's doing. Skip, I'm kind of curious if you found your way into some of the UK safety films.
A little bit. People send me stuff because now, you know, I'm kind of a lightning rod for, oh, you do safety stuff. Like, have you seen this? Of course, the notorious German forklift safety film is one that I've seen many times. And the UK ones, yeah, I've seen several of them. They're a little grislier.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. We recently heard, I mentioned Apaches and the finishing line, and there's powerful stuff, and all of them are just like kind of nightmare inducing.
Yeah.
So Skip, there's one that I remember watching in school that I've not been able to figure out what it is. It was a railroad crossing safety film, and a guy has his family in the car, and they stop on their car stalls out on the railroad tracks, and the train's coming, and the family is kind of like yelling at him, and he's like, the train's just gonna have to wait, and then the train hits the car, killing all of them. Do you know what that is?
No, I have not seen that one. I'll keep an eye out for it. You know, you're the second person that's requested railroad safety films in the last month for me, and I'm stumbling across some of them. I'm finding some, but because I remember like seeing someone from the railroads came to show us films in school when I was like in the 5th grade, and basically saying, get off the tracks, stop using the tracks as a walkway. And so, yeah, I'll just keep looking. It might take me a couple of years.
I was in driver's ed. Yeah, I was in driver's ed 92, but it was obviously older than that. I think it was probably 70s or early 80s. But
right.
You don't want to walk on the tracks. I think I mentioned it before, but I did. The train was out for like 2 months after a typhoon here, so I had to walk. I do this usually, but I had to walk 5K to and from the nearest working train station. So it was shorter just to walk on the tracks.
Oh, geez.
and then the night before it started running, they were doing a test run, so it was exciting. I got to jump into a ditch.
Oh yeah, I only did it one time, and the train came like 10 minutes afterwards. I was like, oh, never again. That was just like so stupid.
No, I just wanted 30 to skip. Times. I did it 30 times. It was just the last time with it. It was actually pretty exciting. I mean, I could see it pretty far away. I kind of thought they might have a test one that night anyway, so I wasn't completely not expecting it.
I was on a bridge, so I would have probably fallen to my death or horrible injury.
Oh yeah, there were no bridges.
It was just I could save 15 minutes walking to my apartment by doing this.
No. Well, this was inactive at the time, and it had no bridges or anything, so I knew that would not be an issue. But yep, still walking feet with danger, I guess. So
stay off the tracks, people.
So I have a cautionary tale that's related to this. So I did a show with the Alamo Draft House in Austin. And they had a school bus. And so we actually figured out a way to put a projector in the back of the school bus and project it on a screen to the front of the school bus. So we did that one year. It was great. We showed a bunch of bus safety films. The next year we were like, yeah, we should do this again, but let's amp it up again. So we figured out a way. We basically printed up all these shirts that said Bus Nut on them, because that's the name of one of the films, is Bus Nut. So everybody was wearing the yellow Bus Nut shirts. And we stopped on railroad tracks, and we told this story about how there was this area was haunted, and supposedly there was a little girl that was on a school bus, and everybody got evacuated for her, and then the train came, and basically she was killed, and then if you stop your car, the ghost will push the car off the track.
Yeah.
And so this was based on a ghost story type of thing that was, I think, in San Antonio or somewhere, New Braunfels or something. Anyway, so we told a story, and so the guy in the front turned the bus off. We're sitting there telling the story, and somebody's like, "No, that didn't happen here. That happened in another city." And, "Oh, that's not true." And there's just a lot of hijinks because there was also beer on the bus. And I kind of am looking up front, and the founder of the Alamo, Tim League, is back with me, and he's like, "Oh, he shouldn't have turned the bus off because it's really hard to get that thing started again." So I see the guy up front going, trying to pump the gas, and in the meantime, we're just kind of sitting there trying to make light of what's going on, blah 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 blah. He finally gets it started and he rolls off, and the ding 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 ding.
Oh my god!
And we're like thinking, "Oh my god, we're all wearing bus nut shirts, and we're all on a school bus, and somebody had taped to the back of it this like political thing, that a political track that was there. It said mass suicide on it, and we're like, oh my god, we almost died, and it would have been attributed to some sort of weird school bus death cult." So there's my cautionary tale.
Oh my god!
There's so many things not to do.
I was going to ask you if you heard like a disembodied narrator after coming off of the tracks.
Yeah, we were all just like, "Oh, wow." And then the thing was, because we realized like, "Oh, we're wearing bus nut shirts," that would have been bad. And I feel like this was after Heaven's Gate, so it would have been really bad. And then somebody pulled this flyer that was taped to the back of the bus, and we're just like, and it said mass suicide on it. We're like, "Oh my god, that's like a suicide note." Oh my god.
The ghost had a really long game.
Yeah.
maybe Heaven's Gate was just screening educational films.
Yeah, maybe.
They would have missed.
They're just watching Star Wars fan films, and it just all went out of hand.
Yep.
As far as the shaking hands with danger, are there any major observations or interesting trivia to be thrown out at this point? Thrown in, I guess, would be better.
I mean, I kind of peppered our discussion with a little bit of it. I mean, like I said, it's still a wildly popular film that's still being shown. And I've seen people do remakes of it, like remakes of scenes. So I think it's one of the things that they do at technical schools is they show the film, then they say, "Okay, make your own version of one of the sequences in Shake Hands with Danger and edit it." And that's the project. Because I've seen multiple ones of that on YouTube. So it's so good. And it's intentionally good. It's not one of these things where you're just like, "Whoa, what were they thinking? That's horrible." It's like, wow, they were thinking, and it hits the mark. It hits the mark for people that are not working on heavy equipment. It hits the mark for people that are. It's just such a great film. So when you called it a Citizen Kane, I was like, yes.
I guess the one observation I forgot to mention, besides the song, there's so much great industrial funk on the soundtrack as well. So we shouldn't forget that.
Yeah.
And I
mean, it does really feel like the bulldozers. Feels like all that equipment hasn't changed a whole lot in 40 years, and maybe it hasn't.
I don't think it has. Maybe they
probably what has happened is similar to what's happened with John Deere, where everything has these kind of you have to have you can't just have a mechanic who's just kind of working on it. You have to have somebody who knows how to disable or reset some sort of electronic thing. or it might even be something to where you have to pay like a monthly service fee or an annual service fee. Otherwise, it will turn everything off.
Yeah, that's really great how they've done that.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know. Hearing about in television, like, in 1990, if someone took a fall, it was like, okay, go fall. Where now they have experts on set to kind of like hit the marks and make sure that nobody gets hurt. So
Right.
in most cases, yeah, doesn't always work out like that, but there are.
It doesn't always, but they have people on set now to very specifically make sure that all this works out. Where 30 years ago is like, okay, just throw yourself into this wall.
Right.
That was kind of Wild West. I mean, that was pretty soon after like The Thing came out, where they were sort of just making it all up, and it's. Right. But that was such a great era of just practical mayhem. I don't know. The guy on fire is so great here. I just love,
it's great.
Love him.
Really, really awesome.
Oh, the other thing is the woman who appears for 5 seconds and says nothing as the only woman in the entire film. She always sticks out.
I can't even remember. Is she in the classroom?
She's in the classroom.
Right.
And it was, and she doesn't say anything. I'm like, that's the only woman in the entire film. Which, I guess, especially in the 70s, there probably weren't too many female construction workers. Although there's educational films that we've watched that we're talking about in the late 70s. So many more women are going into these fields, which I don't know, is that the case now? Yeah.
We may have been watching like the optimistic futurist point of view, where someday many women will be construction workers, and it's like 1975, and then they're trying to just, and like that film we watched where people could just teleport to Puerto Rico every night. What was that one? I can't remember.
Is that year 1999, 80?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a sharp.
They're not really teleporting. I mean, they're taking a plane.
Well, they're just very fast. They're taking a very fast plane.
Well, yes. 1999, they'll have teleporters, I'm sure. So
yeah.
But I thought it was interesting that they're like, okay, we have to make sure like it's not all dudes in this film, and they did that in a relatively ham-fisted way.
Yes.
So, Mark, are you glad you got back to this one, and were you disappointed to not see someone like actually lose his hand?
No, I was really glad not to see someone lose his hand. I was just sort of like, I don't know why my brain went to that, but I guess
that edit so visceral when the guy has his hand and the thing, you remember the hand getting chopped off. You remember the guy getting his feet, chopped off too, right? Which you just see the concrete breaking. Again, in one of these British ones, I think it's Apaches again. You do see the they come down on the kid or the kid.
Well, so here's the question I have for you guys. I mean, you've seen a bunch of these educational films, and I'm sure the driver's ed, the highway safety films. Would actually having like a dead body or a real mangled like body, would you think that would be more impactful than with Shake Hands with Danger? Like, where they kind of fake it all?
I think. Go ahead, Mark.
I feel like most people fall into one of two categories, where they could watch real gore all day long and can't watch fake gore, and then just vice versa. And I'm a fake. I can watch fake blood and guts all day long, and it's like it's pretty difficult for me to watch anything real. Like, I can't watch Surgery Channel. Like, I kind of wish I could, because I find it interesting, but I'm like, I can't watch this.
Right.
We kind of hit the point. On my other podcast, we talked about the Evil Dead for Halloween, October, right? So and both of the other folks were from the UK, and one of them was saying that the Evil Dead was heavily edited for the UK, but he was like, that version's kind of scarier, like
right.
When he's getting whapped by the deadite in the end, it's funny in the normal cut because it just keeps getting hit over and over, whereas in the British one he gets hit twice and it's really visceral. And there was also an X-Files episode, I think it's Home or something, same thing, where the British edit actually kind of makes it scarier. So
well, it's like there's almost nothing scarier than that scene from Beetlejuice where you see his face just explode away from the camera and you don't know what it is, but you see the faces, the people reacting to it. Like, that's an underutilized tactic. It's like your imagination is scarier And I know we've watched some highway safety films with corpses in them, and they were probably presented in a way where it was just like, it's corpse, as I don't think we've seen anything like truly. I've never seen anything I think was like blood fountains or anything like that, but
right.
In educational films.
Yeah. So my theory with highway safety films is like those films were made by somebody who wasn't really a filmmaker. Like that was made by, have you gone through the history of that? No, it's basically this guy that had a police scanner, and he would just go to traffic accidents, and he would use his camera and take still slides of all these accidents. And then he put together the slideshow talking about the dangers of poor driving skills and all that stuff. And the Highway Patrol loved it. And I think the reason they loved it is because they were finally showing to the public what they have to deal with. Like, this is what we have to deal with. You're careless, then we have to go try to find your head in a ditch somewhere. And that's no fun. And so you get to see what we get to see. And so I don't think that's a successful educational tool. I think that what happens when you have kids or teenagers, they see that and they're like, whoa, but they don't connect the fact that it's their driving behavior that made the person, lose their head, get it smashed into the windshield. It's this kind of disconnect of like, whoa, that's crazy gory. And then that's all they latch onto. And I think that Shake Hands with Danger is more successful because it really is engaging with the audience and getting them to think about the stuff. And, some of them might have actually seen pretty bad accidents on the workplace, but you didn't have to show it. You could hint at it or, show a little bit of fake gore, but it would be something where they probably didn't go like, oh God, they were like, whoa, and I think that uses a different part of your brain. So
that's true.
I think we're successful.
Yeah, I think most of the highway safety films would never have the budget to really simulate a car crash. It's like what you usually get is like a sped up film of someone driving right up to a tree and then stopping really quick. And then it cuts to a picture of someone who died. It's like who knows, maybe you could use CGI to do a really effective one now. Cause I feel like I've seen enough films where I really know. I've never been in a severe car crash, thankfully, but I feel like I know what it would feel like at this point, just from watching depressing films where they really do it.
Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning, but the thing that is definitely not, again, this is a well-made film, and the part that really sticks out is the editing, because it makes you remember the horrible gore that's not in the film. So in that way, it is more effective because you're left with the memory. And then when you go and watch it, you're like, oh, that made me think this. I didn't actually see this.
Right.
As we learned from Mark's little expedition back into the film.
Yeah, maybe my brain really learned something from the film, and it was like, don't put your hand in the thing or it will really cut your hand,
Use a swab stick. Yeah.
Yes. Do not work in the construction business, and I've followed that so far very well.
Well, Mark, I'll do you one over, and I've always avoided the food business myself. I don't want to have to deal with mushy food garbage. Of course, now you have to clean the sink out, so that's not. My wife's like, you're making that face just to make me angry. I'm like, no, I make this face when no one's here. You're having this from the sink. That's pretty normal.
I only work in delivery because that means that I don't ever have to do any prep whatsoever.
Right. We should probably wind this one down today. Skip, you got content like every day. Can you tell people about that?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I decided because I wasn't doing live shows, I was like, well, I would like to still show my films. And so I set up behind me, there's a telecine, so I can actually broadcast live films that I haven't seen before. So I have over 35,000, and I've only seen probably 5,000 of them. So every day at lunch, which is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we watch a bunch of films. And I've done almost 450 shows, and we've watched more than 2,000 films since March of last year.
Nice.
And you can see that on avgeeks.com or avgeeks on YouTube or Facebook.
And of course, if you want to just drown in educational films, that's definitely one of the best places to do it.
Yep.
Mark,
I don't have a link for it, but someone made a Shake Hands with Danger shirt that you can actually buy on I think it's Redbubble. Yeah, a friend of mine made them, and you can get a Shake Hands with Danger mug and stickers. So he basically took a still of the title and
plastered it on everything.
Nice.
And Mark, you got some film stuff coming up in January, is it?
Yeah, hi. I'm a technical director for the Buried Alive Film Festival. We do horror and weird sci-fi and just general obscure weirdness. If you're around the Atlanta area, January 20th through 23rd, 2022.
Already
at 7 Stages. 7 Stages Theater in Atlanta, Georgia.
Alrighty. This podcast is Aural Hygiene. You could find this on all the podcatchers and under the Patreon umbrella of Podcastius, where we also do sci-fi films about to start the Twilight Zone. I guess it has gotten started up by this point, and some video game stuff if you're into Pokemon or Monster Hunter. So Skip, again, thank you for joining us again. It's always fun to get the deep dive into some educational films.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
So we watch them and make things out of them, but we don't necessarily have the deep well of knowledge. Probably more than the average bear, but not to your level.
Well, it's what I do too. Like when I watch a film I haven't seen before, I don't know anything about it. So I just watch it and like, I don't know. What do you think that is about? I have no idea. And some things I still don't know what it's about.
All right. Well, dear listeners, do go out there and shake hands with danger. Oh, wait, no,
don't shake hands with
danger.
No,
don't
look back in danger.
Yes.